Never ever underestimate the Plus crew. I mean, my goodness, on your day off, we still have 15, 16 people, just waiting for me to even come on the air today. Thank you so very much for being here. You guys are just awesome. I love hanging out with you. I really do. Thank you for hanging out with me, whether it be on YouTube, on Twitch. You can find a link on Twitter. Oh, this is expanding, boys and girls. Happy Memorial Day weekend to your and yours. Hopefully you are enjoying a nice 3-day weekend, a little respite, if you will, from all the hard work that you're doing. How about this? Linda, the Duchess, my mom, sent me she made this. She had that ordered and she sent it. I think we just got our first idea for a little merch down the road. Thank you very much, Mom. I know most of the show goes over your head, so the fact that you're watching means you obviously like me very much. Thank you very, very much. To those of you who are watching who are not related to me, thank you very, very much. And we got a lot to get into today. We will have discussion of the season finale of Succession. I will put up an alert for you, okay? When that happens, we're going to let you know with this little graphic right there. Succession spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, this will be your warning to fast forward until we get through it, or pause until it goes away, and the show won't be ruined for you. We have, first though, the business of the day. Feels like the Denver Nuggets reached the NBA Finals about a month ago, right? I mean, it's been forever since they've been waiting for their opponent. They will finally get their answer tonight. They will know who they are playing tonight. We got ourselves a Game 7. Should we have a Game 7? We'll get into that in just a second. But I'm telling you, this is a very interesting series when it looked like it was going to be, a sweep, like Broomhilda was going to be visiting the Celtics this offseason. The Miami Heat are sort of letting this one slip away. It looks like Boston is 100% not just showing up for a game or two here, but they're really playing good basketball. And this should be a hell of a game tonight at a TD Garden Center, TD Water, whatever it is. Hold on, a little sip. So, look, this is our Game 7. I mean, it doesn't get better than that in sports, right? It's fantastic. Game 6 ended in spectacular fashion, if not outright questionable fashion. Additional time got tacked on to the play before Derek White hit that lay-in with .01 seconds left on the clock. There was about 2.5 seconds left when the foul occurred. When Boston's inbounding there on that last play of Game 6 in Miami, there's 3 seconds. I don't know where those other seconds materialize, those tenths of a seconds materialize from, but it's a little weird. I got to be honest with you. It's a little weird. Still, guard the inbounder, box out the rebounder. Like, there are things Miami could have done to have won that game, and I'm sure in their own mind they did enough to win that game. But at the same time, they weren't particularly good in that game. How about this? In Game 6, the Heat shot under 31% on two-pointers. It's the 7th time in the last decade a team has shot under 31% on two-pointers in a playoff game. The Jimmy Butler Heat have now done it twice in this series. And the average margin of victory before Game 6 was about 27 points. When another team plays that well, Miami should have won that game by a point, right? They probably should have won that game, but they didn't. So here we go with a Game 7 tonight. I'm in. I'm 100% in. I don't care how we got here. I'm rooting for Miami. If I'm getting points, I might have to lay a little with Miami. Why not? Just to have a reason to think that they can do it. Boston is fine. I'm not anti-Boston, but what Jimmy Butler has done, but then in the last 3 or 4 games, he hasn't done it. So if the Miami Heat and Jimmy Buckets the right way show up in Boston tonight, they can take this game just like they took games 1 and 2 up there. They can do it. But we do have a Scott Foster sighting. And again, when we talk about things going on with NBA referee shenanigans, look, you can't say that the league is devoid of officiating shenanigans. You just can't. You can't. I'm not saying that the fix is in, But Scott Foster, the extender, has been assigned to be the lead official of this game tonight, along with Tony Brothers and John Goebel. Obviously, there's nothing to extend to. There is no Game 8 in this series. So just looking at some raw data, over the last 2 seasons, the Miami Heat are 2-13 in games officiated by Scott Foster and 3-12 against the spread. Boston is 11-3 against the spread when Scott Foster is leading the crew officiating their game since 2020. What does all that mean? I hope it means nothing. I would love for a game of consequence to happen in the NBA without a single discussion of a referee or an influence that might have been made or a bad call that decided a game just once. Like, give me a pure Game 7, please. I'd like that an awful lot. The NBA, though, having said all that, has opened an investigation into referee Eric Lewis's Twitter account. And, on the surface, it appears that there's not a lot here. And the Twitter sleuths thought that they had found the burner account of an NBA official. His brother, Eric Lewis's brother, is taking responsibility for this account. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But Twitter was arguing about Eric Lewis's officiating, and there was this guy who just kept up randomly defending Eric Lewis, and that seemed to be the only reason the Twitter account even existed. So Twitter sleuths got on him to the point where the NBA is like doing an investigation now. And, are tweets red flags? Maybe. At the same time, it's just Twitter. Like nothing over there is real. So does it influence the outcome of a game? I don't know. But it's another bad look for NBA referee bias. And whether it's his brother or not, you can choose to believe that yourself. It's, again, just get me to a Game 7 tonight. Just get out of your own way, NBA, for a minute. Just get me to a Game 7 tonight. Let the players decide it. How about that? Can we do that tonight? Can we let the players decide it, not the guy on the time clock? First of all, Miami, how are you going to let that time slip back on the clock? It's your court. Come on. Anyway, speaking of red flags, though, red flags are how the Indianapolis 500 ended. You know what I'm talking about? You don't normally say this Indianapolis 500 reminds me of an NBA game because the last 15 seconds, like an NBA game, can take 10 minutes to get through the last 15 seconds of a game. The last 15 laps were marred by red flags. It had 3 red flags in like the last 20 laps. Joseph Soundgarden, wins a sprint to the finish. He passed last year's winner on that final restart lap. Now, I guess that's a lot better than ending a race under caution. But, the Indianapolis 500 has finished under caution many times. But they didn't want to do that this time around. So, what do you know? We got one of the more spectacular sprint finishes in the history of the race. And I'm not a big racing guy, but I watched the final 20 laps of the Indianapolis 500 like I think a lot of people do. And I got to tell you, it was compelling. One of the most compelling things we have ever seen was part of that race as well. One of the most spectacular crashes ever caught on camera, from the angle where they're literally affixed right on the driver's front-facing helmet while he is upside down with sparks just shooting off the rim of his cockpit. Just an unbelievable crash from the point that he just got out of there and walked away, not hurt. Unbelievable. There was a tire that went over the catch fence. Excuse me, I get emotional. A tire goes over the catch fence. I swear to God, if that had hit the stands, it would have killed someone. Might have killed multiple people. It clears the stands and ends up hitting a parked car somewhere behind turn 3. Like the fact that nobody died is incredible. The tire could have killed someone. That crash could have killed, what was his name, Kyle Kirkwood. Oh, my God. That was just a hell of a finish. It was a Sunday for hell of a finishes all around. We'll get to Succession here in a little bit. I'll put up the spoiler. But first, if you're here for normal Plus activities, and thank you so many of you for being here, the Pirates are in San Francisco this Memorial Day. We got a funny start time. It's a 2:05 start time this afternoon at the ballpark. 43-year-old Rich Hill going up against Anthony DeSclafani. The Giants are back home after taking 2 out of 3 in Minneapolis and then taking 3 out of 4 in Minnesota. No, other way around, excuse me. It was 2 out of 3 against the Twins and then 3 out of 4 against the Brewers. That's Milwaukee. I can do that math at the very least. Look, the Giants, they win today. They're 2 games over 500. They keep on going a game over, falling back, game over, falling back, that sort of thing. But look, not only are the Giants playing decently, but they're only 4.5 games back based on the fact that neither the Dodgers nor the Padres have done anything spectacular this year. So what was working against the Giants is they weren't going to be very good, right? Well, they're better than a lot of people thought. Also, the Dodgers and Padres were going to be so much better than everyone else that there was no way a team as normal as the Giants could keep them. Well, guess what? The Dodgers and the Padres ain't great shakes. They could be. They got talent. There's no doubt. They have the means to get right. But in the meantime, baseball sometimes creeps up on you, whether you're a big spender or not. Ask the New York Mets. Just watching the Giants is a lot easier to do in this last month than it was the first month of the year. Like Lamont Wade Jr. is having a sneaky good season. Mitch Haniger is starting to actually find his stroke a little bit. J.D. Davis is just a good all-around player and is the best at-bat probably on the team. You got Casey Schmidt continuing his hot start as a rook. I mean, he could end up in the Rookie of the Year conversation. When it's all said and done, he keeps playing like this. So Giants got some good things going for him. Some really good things going for them. So, if you're a baseball fan, you got a reason to enjoy. Giants got 9 of their next 12 games at home, starting with the 6-game homestand against the Pirates and Orioles. Then they take off for a quick, road trip to Colorado, and then they come right back home, and the Chicago Cubs are coming to town. So I think I'm going to get to one of those games, as a matter of fact. Meanwhile, the soon-to-not-be Oakland A's, although there is a big meeting in Nevada today about viability of taxpayer dollars and all that stuff, but they'll probably pass it because politicians get what they want. But I'm telling you, any politician who wants the Oakland A's has no idea what they actually want because you're getting John Fisher, and you don't want that. You really don't want that. You don't. You just don't. You will be granted a major league expansion team if you're just patient. I know preaching patience to politicians is a tough thing to do, but they should absolutely preach some patience. The only good story about the Oakland A's I really want to share with you today is that a former closer, now with the White Sox, Liam Hendricks, has come back from what they said was like stage 4 really bad cancer and is going to start playing again. That's incredible. That's really incredible. And the reason why we can't even pay attention to the A's any longer, like seriously, do you realize right now the A's have a longer losing streak than they have wins on the season? That's true. You can look that up. It's an 11-game losing streak. They have 10 wins on the year. They're 10-45. That is a 182 winning percentage. They have a minus 199 run differential. The second worst in baseball is minus 76. They're at 199. Look, the A's, if we really wanted to just put the truth out on the table here, what is happening to the A's is the single most disgraceful act in the history of professional sports, I believe, in the United States. The A's are the worst professional sports team of our lifetime. And it's not the fans' fault. It's not even the players' fault. This is all by design. This is an owner who can go fuck himself, who decided that he is going to ruin everything on his way out the door. This is worse than the 73-loss 76ers. What was that, the 72-73 season or whatever it was? That was before my lifetime. Okay, so the worst professional season in my lifetime? Pretty indisputably the 0-16 Detroit Lions, right? What the A's are doing is worse than the 0-16 Detroit Lions. At one point in the 0-16 Detroit Lions season, they were trying to win. The A's haven't tried to win one game all year. They aren't trying to win. They aren't fielding a professional team capable of competing inning after inning with other professional baseball teams. The Lions sucked, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. It's just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So the A's will be losing to the Atlanta Braves starting promptly at 5:07 this afternoon. It's just gross. Really, really gross. But I'm not going to let it bother me. And now if you're an A's fan, I think you got to let go. I mean, you got to let go. You got to say goodbye. I'm done. I'm an adult. I realize an abusive relationship when I see it. That's exactly what this is. It's ridiculous. You want to feel old news? Are you ready? This is even going to make our younger viewers and listeners on the podcast feel even older. Even if you're young, this is going to make you feel old. Are you ready? Derek Jeter made his major league debut 28 years ago today, May 29th, 1995. Derek Jeter's major league debut 28 years ago today. Oh my God, I'm old. Oh my God. By the way, he went 0 for 5, would go on to have an above average career. But that's unbelievable. That officially made me feel like an old man today. Really made me feel like an old man today. Before we get into the Succession season finale, I saw an interesting story. It's a 3-day weekend. I think it makes people, if you're not on vacation, a 3-day weekend makes you start thinking of vacations. What am I going to do on my next vacation? And this isn't about the A's at all. A lot of people like to go on vacation to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a fun town. Las Vegas has got an awful lot to do. Sensory overload should be the city's official model. Sensory overload. We have that for you in Las Vegas. If you go to Las Vegas, you should have the expectation to have your sensories overloaded, but you should have no expectation to make any money. None. I saw today a story that as Las Vegas gaming and tourism boom, casinos are now making it costlier to play and even harder to win than ever before. The Wall Street Journal had a story, and I want to read some of it to you. Blackjack players. Like, blackjack is the one place where you can find an advantage as a gambler over the course of a few hands of blackjack, where the odds are actually not just all in the house's favor, but a little bit in your favor too, depending on the cards you're dealt, obviously. Blackjack players lost nearly $1 billion to casinos on the Strip last year. It's the second highest loss on record after 2007. One of the reasons why is they're not paying out like they used to, and they are making it more expensive to play. I don't know the last time you went to Vegas, but if you can find a table for under $10, $15, $20 after the sun goes down, good, like, cop a seat and stay there and hold it down for your friends. I'm not saying, everything is high rollers, but it's starting $25, $50 chips to sit down and play a hand of blackjack. Blackjack, for those of you who do not know, the Wall Street Journal even helps you out here, is a fast-paced card game historically paid out at a ratio of 3-2 when a player hits 21 on the first two cards. Well, many blackjack tables on the Strip are now paying out 6-5, which means the same $10, which used to get you $15, now only gets you $12. So they are gaming the system to push away the riffraff, and that's probably they want a higher class of clientele. They want people with deeper pockets coming to Las Vegas, even though penny slots, I believe, is still the number one profit margin in all of Las Vegas. But Some Las Vegas casinos cut back on the number of blackjack tables and dealers. They raised minimum bets during busy times and lifted their advantage over players in some games, doubling down on a pre-pandemic practice of making subtle changes that favor the house, according to industry executives, researchers, and gamblers themselves. Prices for everything across the board, well, everywhere, this isn't just Las Vegas, but hotel rooms to concerts to restaurants have surged in recent years. Tourists are flocking to Vegas like never before. I call it pandemic pent-up frustration. They just want to get out and have some fun again. And do it. Have yourself a great meal. Go have a great time in Las Vegas, but don't have any expectation of making money. And if you do, tell yourself that's a freaking miracle and I shouldn't expect that to ever happen again. Las Vegas Strip casinos took in nearly $8.3 billion in gambling revenue last year, a record that exceeded pre-pandemic revenue by more than 25%, according to state regulators. So people with less money are going to Vegas to spend and lose more money than ever before. Remember to watch your chicken. Like our friend Marshawn said. One more Vegas-based story for you, okay? One more. Did you see that Jimmy Garoppolo has failed his physical with the Los Angeles Raiders? That happened. And they have reworked his contract and are now saying that he is, out indefinitely. He had surgery on his broken foot after the Raiders signed him. And they have now got new language to at least protect themselves. But, it's one thing to protect yourself against a bad contract. It's another to not have an NFL quarterback on your roster. And that's what the Raiders are looking at if there's no Jimmy G. And I don't want any jokes about, well, Jimmy G's not really an NFL quarterback. Yes, he was. And he was playing some of the best football of his career at the end there with the 49ers. But Derek Carr is gone. And Jarrett Stidham is gone. And right now, if you take Jimmy Garoppolo out of the room, the Raiders quarterback room right now is Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, and Chase Garbers. Whoo! Good luck in the AFC West with that, huh? In a little game of hindsight and foresight, let me just take Jimmy Garoppolo here for a moment and apply the hindsight of his injury, not to the Raiders, but to the 49ers. If he was hurt this bad, what were they doing, thinking that he was going to miraculously step back onto the field in the postseason, maybe, if his foot was like this? What the hell? Why didn't they put Jimmy on the IL and pick up another quarterback? I mean, that's a legitimate question looking back at how the 49ers season ended last year when they were running out of quarterbacks in the NFC title game. So, little hindsight applied to this story doesn't reflect well on a massive decision that the 49ers didn't make last year. Beyond that, there's your hindsight. Here's your foresight. How much longer until Davante Adams just straight up asked for a trade? Davante Adams wanted to go to Vegas to play with Derek Carr. That ain't happening. And then to, be part of the new cool thing in Las Vegas. And when it comes to the Raiders winning games, it doesn't look like that's going to be happening anytime soon. How much longer until Davante Adams asks for a trade? At which point, that becomes now a full-on reset button for the franchise once again. And here we go again. The cycle of never improving has followed the Raiders to Las Vegas and apparently lives there now too. Man. Maybe this is why Tom Brady was signed as spent $50 million to come in at 1% of ownership or whatever. Maybe Tom Brady is going to be owner player. Like captain player? Like Paul Newman in Slapshot? I probably not. But Tom Brady, you might be needed for more than just hanging out in the owner's suite in Las Vegas. We're going to get into Club Plus. We got a lot of people talking, chit-chatting. I always appreciate that. It's always good to see you all in today. It really is. It means a lot that you're here on your day off. East Bay Ricardo says, Damon, can we purchase the cup? We're going to make this available to you soon, in short time. Believe me, we will. basically Jillian and I had a little bit of a strategy session. And we've determined that the next couple of months are really our preseason. And by the time we reach the end of August, beginning of September, by the time it is football season, the only thing I can promise you, you early plusers, is that this son of a bitch is going to be firing on every conceivable cylinder, and we're going to go from a really nice story with a good start to it to an absolute threat to anyone who thinks that they're going to do a better job covering sports than right here on YouTube. We're going to own the market without even, you don't need a station when you've got a channel. So we're really looking forward to how many great things are coming down the pipe soon. Really, we got plans. Real plans. Now, consider this your warning. Boom. Succession spoilers. Succession spoilers. I'm giving you a minute to back away, to press pause, to then let this catch you. How about this? When you start seeing Club Plus, the spoilers will be over. But nobody starts spoiling things in the comment section, in the chat section. Although, look, the thing that I like the most about YouTube is that you can watch this whenever you want, and that's how people watch all the shows that they like. But when you got a season finale, you kind of got to watch it, a series finale, in real time because it's going to be all over the headlines and social media. So Jillian and I, we put all social media down last night until we started watching Succession. Then I picked it up because, and there was a spoiler right away, like first thing that appeared on Twitter. I'll say this. The series finale left me wanting a little more. I'm not going to say I didn't like it, but it didn't end with the dramatic oomph that I thought it would. It basically ended with a lot of, well, it doesn't look like it's going to be good for the Roy kids, and, Tom Wamsganz ended up winning after all. And, there's a theory about Tom Wamsganz and Bill Wamsganz that we'll get to that I saw this morning on Twitter. Something else. But, look, this was an excellent show. A truly excellent show. It was highbrow. It was well-crafted. It was shot in luxurious, luscious location after location, after country, after penthouse apartment. Like, the budget was very high on Succession, obviously. They took you inside that billionaire family lifestyle about as well as any show has ever done it. But the star of the show has always not been the budget or the access to the beautiful things, but the writing. And this is, the writer's strike literally should just point at Succession and say, you'd have none of that without us. The writing on Succession was spectacular, and the actors who brought that script to life were incredible. It's one of those as perfectly cast a series as you will ever watch. I'm sure there's other actors who could have done it, but once you see, it's like Indiana Jones. Who the hell could have ever been Indiana Jones other than Harrison Ford, right? You heard that Magnum P.I. almost got that. Tom Selleck was almost Indiana Jones. He probably could have done it. Probably could have done a really good job. Oh, but it would have changed everything. One character out of place would have changed everything in this show. It's perfectly cast. It is extraordinarily acted. And I enjoyed it. I don't know what the hell I am going to do with my Sunday nights now. I'm going to have to wait for some football to roll in. But I'm going to miss Succession an awful lot. It is, and I don't say this lightly because this carries weight to it. Succession is one of the greatest shows in the history of HBO. Full stop. It really was. It really was. I guess it's hard to end something that you have such high expectations for everyone to like it, and I know a lot of people thought that the ending was perfect, but to me, like, I wanted more than just, I guess I wanted a little what happens after the players stop moving on the chessboard and everyone knows their place. And we got very little of that. There was no sort of recap. There's innuendo. Like, I mean, they're definitely at the end of that. So I guess we got to break this down from a character standpoint, right? To me, the character that is the most frustrating character on the entire show, and the character that Jillian and I argue about the most, is Siobhan. Shiv. She is the smartest person in the room and the dumbest player on the board all at the same time. She overshares when she shouldn't. She doesn't disclose nearly enough when she should. And you cannot have a pact with your brothers to go in and vote in a board meeting and then on the 1-inch line decide I'm not going to run that play. You can't. You can't be dumping Kingmaker milkshakes all over your brother and laughing about it and then say, oh, no, never mind, I don't trust you after all. Like, I just thought that was such a cop-out, and Shiv drove me nuts in this fucking show. She really did. She did. Smartest player in the room, dumbest player in the game. It drove me nuts. Kendall. So they very much hint at his suicide at the end of the show, right? I mean, he was crestfallen that it's not going to be him taking over for his father. The family is out. We've got Lucas Matson becoming the kingmaker, if you will, for Tom. Tom could have cut cousin Greg's throat at the end, but decides not to. I guess that's the one feel-good moment of the finale. So Kendall, it's very much suggested at the end, not that he died of suicide in that moment, but he's thinking about it, and his life of happiness is essentially, well, it never even happened, but now it's definitely not going to happen. So what's the point of sticking around? He has no business as a businessman. He's already totally alienated his family. He can never talk to his sister again based on what he just did. His brother, Roman, who was my favorite character throughout the entire show, Roman just basically ends Succession right where he began. He's just a self-loathing dick. So, the final scene of him sitting in a bar just having like a drink with no care in the world, even though he got scarred up and, tried to fight New York City on the night of the election, I thought that was a weird kind of ending too. There's no way that guy with money got brave in that situation to go do what he did. But, the whole he wanted to be beaten, feel the pain, feel a little something. All right, it's a little psychoanalysis for me. But I thought that it was the perfect ending for Roman really didn't care after all. He called bullshit on everything, and that's very Roman. Good ending for him. And then Shiv is literally as stuck in the same spot as she was, except there's no chance to rise to power anymore. She so overplayed and underplayed her hand all at the same time. And then, when Tom walks over to her and says, I got a car waiting in 20 minutes. You want to come with me? And she's like, no. And then the car pulls up and she's already sitting in it. Like, everyone who rooted for Shiv to be this, empowered woman who's going to do all the things that you want empowered women to do, it turns out she's just, a spineless, totally outplayed, outmaneuvered, voting against her own interests kind of idiot after all. So she is going to now have a, very little future of being a titan of any industry. She will have a totally loveless marriage with Tom, who has the job she wanted. And that kid is going to hate her, and she's going to resent her kid, and they're all going to be miserable at the very end. Roll credits. Succession. Did you see the theory about Tom Wamsganz? So, by the way, you can go back on Twitter a few days ago. I said, here's how I think Succession is going to end. I think Cousin Greg is going to be named the U.S. CEO president of ATN. And it'll be like him and Tom Wamsganz piling into a limo with blowing hookers. They drive away, and they're the winners of Succession. I knew all three Roy kids were going to get fucked in the end. And they screwed themselves over, too. But you knew it wasn't going to end well for them. So when writers come up with ideas, it's always inspired from something. Sometimes the muse happens as you're writing, so I don't know when the name was chosen, but 4 days ago on TikTok, I saw a woman who runs a baby names account, like she talks about the origin of names for babies or something. I don't know. This is the only thing I've ever seen her do, but I was told 4 days ago on a baby names TikTok account, they correctly predicted, this woman did, the end of Succession based on the weird history of Tom Wamsganz's last name. And it is a weird last name. You got to see it in writing before you know, is it Wamsganz? Is there a B in that? Is it a Gambs? No. So Tom Wamsganz, and there is a B in that. But anyways, so Tom Wamsganz was, the hanger-oner guy through the whole series, just kissing everyone's ass, making sure that he was well-positioned no matter what. Hold on. A little more coffee. And this woman, who I guess studies names, found out that there was a major leaguer named Bill Wamsganz. This is the old-timey days. Bill Wamsganz's claim to fame was that he turned the only assisted triple play in World Series history. In other words, he took out 3 people at once. Tom's Wamsganz took out all 3 Roy siblings at once, although his triple play was not unassisted. It was obviously very much assisted by Lucas Maston, who was, Aaron Skarsgård? So it wasn't an unassisted triple play, but I'm wondering if that's where the inspiration of that last name came from. You never know when there's a baseball fan who's got an idea. I mean, whenever I sit down to write my script, there's going to be all sorts of little Easter eggs of ideas and giveaways and things. And, who knows? By the way, I'm not working on a script. Not yet anyways. But it was an excellent show. I thought the finale was a B plus maybe. I wanted it to be an A. I did. But it had to end somehow. That's the way they chose to end it. It's when you talk about endings that left you wanting more, I mean, I can't even get mad at Succession based on how terribly Game of Thrones ended. But it really is. It's a great show. And if you are still listening, you obviously know that because you stuck around for the spoilers, which I'm done talking about Succession. So I'm going to take that down. There you go. Welcome back. And what I really want to do is say thank you so much for tuning in here on a Memorial Day Monday. Means an awful lot that on your day off, when you have the ability to go do anything, you're not stuck at your desk, that so many people decided to come on in and hang out with us today. Less than normally are watching live, but that's what I expected. But here's the deal. You don't need to watch it live, baby. This all goes up on YouTube, and you can find it there for those listening on the podcast. Deep thanks to all of you. Enjoy the remainder of your 3-day weekend. I'm going to be right back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. with much more coming up this week. We'll know what the NBA Finals is, so we'll be digging into that. Enjoy Game 7 in Boston tonight, and hopefully we just get ourselves a good game. I don't want any kind of 20-point blowout in any direction. Give me a fourth quarter because we're running out of basketball games. And when we're all out of basketball games, I'm going to cry like one tear. I hate when basketball season ends. I love basketball. So give me as much good basketball as you can stick in between now and the end of the year. We're about to get into Club Plus, which means, it's going to get a little darker. And over here, it's going to get just a tiny bit darker. I mean, if you are just listening to this show on the podcast, you have no idea what we start doing when we go into Club Plus here. And, can you even really plus if you're not in Club Plus? A little something to consider. Thank you very much, though. If you are just listening on the podcast, it doesn't matter how you got here. I'm just thrilled that you are here. But that's it for today. So I'm going to say thank you so much for tuning in. And remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone. Yeah, welcome in to Club Plus here this afternoon. Well, I guess it's still morning technically, but it's really good to have you here. Let me make this just a touch brighter. Just a touch brighter. That's a little too dark. That's extreme darkness. Let me do this. Did I get that right? That's really not helping either. Maybe I'll turn this one back on too. See, that's a little too bright though. Ooh, look at that. Maybe that works out. And what if I kill this one over here? I think that might be it. I think we got to light Club Plus from this way, then the black and signed helps. Did I not by the way, I just realized that I didn't thank this guy. I totally forgot to thank my favorite lovely sponsors. Ooh, plug in. Thank you so much to Ike's. I tell you what, you want to be a hero at work this week? You want to be a hero at work this week? Why don't you go over to who's ever deciding who might be buying lunch for the office and get some catering from Mike's instead of just getting yourself a sandwich. Hook up the entire office. The catering is fantastic. The way that the sandwiches are delivered, little display case, it's great. Go take care of yourself at Ike's. Take care of your boss. Take care of your businesses, especially if you're a boss of a business. Take care of your employees. Buy them a little lunch. Take care of them with some Ike's. And, oh, by the way, little blackened whiskey makes the whole world go by better, if you don't mind me saying. It really, really does. So, look, we got some messages that I saw right away saying that, so the X, I guess that's what they're calling my old station. Mr. Bridge says, the X isn't even broadcasting locally today. Yeah, it's disgusting what happens when stations run out of money and they have no budget to have weekend live programming or any bites of apples for any young broadcasters to start cutting their teeth on. What is happening to the radio business is just disgusting. It really is. So I'm thrilled to not be involved in a business that has no future and very much involved in a business now that has a bright future. Thank you so much to East Bay Ricardo, who I welcomed. You know, they're sitting here early, and I said, I can't believe you guys are here on your day off. And East Bay Ricardo says, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Fair enough. I appreciate it. The Plus is a hell of a drug. Thank you very much, Ray Lord. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're addicted enough to be here on your day off. East Bay Ricardo again says, we might as well call him Damon Brusenberg. Little Eisenberg? Sure. Absolutely. Mr. Bridge again. Look, those dopamine receptors aren't going to stimulate themselves, you know. See, that's why it's still fun to go to Vegas. Your dopamine gets stimulated there for sure. But look. Someone's liking the shirts today. Yeah, this is the All-Star Game shirt. It is a dope shirt. Brings back great memories when the All-Star Game was there. You want to know what's wrong about this logo, though? Not a single one of these happened. No splash hits in the game. No splash hits in the home run derby. Got Barry Bonds deciding, I'm not even going to take part in the home run derby. That stinks. Damon, where's the cough button? That's a great question. Not here. The cough button is just me turning coughing, like the doctor's office. The skills report here live today. Thank you so very much for joining us live. It is good to have you there, Skills. Your day off. You had no excuse, right? Talking about Rich Hill. Rich Hill, the last big leaguer left older than me. Yeah, I mean, Rich has been around a long time, man. He really has. I've always liked him as a player and a pitcher. Talked to him a few times when he was with the A's. I liked Rich Hill. The guy's a pro. But, yeah, it's like your grandpa's out there pitching. Your baseball grandpa equivalent anyways. Otis Bird III, always good to have you in here, Otis. He's like, the A's are becoming a depressing story, and I'm a Giants. That's the thing. Like, it's bad. They are officially bad for the sport. And that's the only way to look at them. They're bad for the sport. They're not just bad for Oakland. They're not just bad for themselves. They're not just bad for the American League. They're bad for the entire sport. They're a blemish on an otherwise pretty good-looking face. And it's awful. It's just awful. I saw old pal Rick Tittle talking about how he still can't help but root for him. Like, that's Stockholm Syndrome. When you have sympathy for your captors, that's Stockholm Syndrome. There is The same psychology that keeps A's fans showing up rooting for their team is the same psychology that has abused partners unable to leave a relationship that they know is bad for them. But it's the exact same psychology. It's a shame. It's an absolute shame. R.I.P. Cougar Rebel is right. It's a disgrace that baseball allows this to happen to the A's in the city of Oakland. And look, when I was at the radio station, they were an automatic tune-out. I'm afraid they're going to be an automatic tune-out over here. But what we can do is an interview with a couple of people who I do know have their fingers on the button of this issue and make it its own standalone video. And if you want to get into the details of what's going on with the A's, we will. And if you want to pay no attention to that, you have that option as well. But I really can't spend time on a team that isn't even trying to win baseball games on my show about sports. It's just gross. Kathy, who's a huge A's fan, says, look, I'm secretly rooting for Bob Melvin and the Padres. There's no reason to even keep that a secret. Kathy, you have every baseball fan's full permission to now adopt the Padres or just follow Bob Melvin as long as he's managing. Go ahead. Go ahead. Everything about Bob Melvin was classy. Everything. Mick YD says, I was a fan for 30 years until last year when they jacked our group seats and then gutted this team. They raised prices, those sons of bitches. Raised prices. Yosarian saying this chat is oozing with machismo. Maybe it's because we only have I think we have one woman with us today. Is it just Michelle Haberman? I'm not seeing the others, the usuals. I know that Jillian's got the boys out to the beach right now. They were going kind of nuts early this morning, so she got them out of here. Took them for a little excursion. So Jillian's not around the chat, which is a good thing because she wouldn't have liked what I said about Shiv. She's pro Shiv. She thinks Shiv can do no wrong. We saw Shiv do wrong. No more spoilers. Let's see. No 95.7 this morning. That's the thing. They're just going to network. When your local station doesn't bring in fill-in hosts and just goes to network, that is the number one sign that they are out of money. The number one sign that they were out of money is I'm not there anymore. The number two sign is what you're seeing right now. And it's a crying shame. I was talking with a few people from the station. Not going to say who. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But, a young man basically said, Damon, I know that you can only look at this from your perspective. You're a guy who was, the reason why the station kind of existed in the first place and they let you go, and that sucks to be such a crafty veteran and have this done to you. He's like, what also sucks is trying to be a young guy coming on up in the industry, and all you want is a bite at the apple as a weekend host, as a fill-in host, as an overnight, nighttime, anything, and all that goes away too. At what point are you staying with that station as an employee when there is no future to be presented to you? And that's a problem that they're going to be running into. And I'll tell you what, once that starts to happen, once more people get laid off by companies who don't know how to run companies, the Plus is going to be waiting for them with open arms. Don't make me start my own, sports network. Don't make it happen. Like I said, we just want to get this right, and then we're going to get other things right. Jillian and I got plans, baby. We got plans. This is Mr. Bridge again saying, what'll make you feel old is when the younger generation goes, who's Derek Jeter? Yeah, that'll be horrific. By the way, if you ever meet that baseball fan, turn around and run away. I mean, it didn't matter if you didn't know who, Pete Rose was because you were too young to watch him play. You need to know who he is if you claim to be a baseball fan. Doesn't matter if you never saw Harmon Killebrew. That name better ring a bell. There are a lot of greats who I didn't see play, but because I'm curious in the game's history, and I think that this is where baseball does lend itself to a smarter fan. It seems like it's tough to be a baseball fan without being a fan of the history of the game, where in football, no one even cares about, anything that happened 2 years ago. Speaking of Vegas, baby, Ike is in Vegas right now. Have yourself a great time. I know you're having a great time, Ike. I know you're having a great time. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. RIP Cougar Rebel says, Vegas is cool, but only for a few days. I've got the perfect amount of time to stay in Las Vegas. And pardon me if you've heard this before, but it's correct. The perfect amount of time to be in Las Vegas is 5 meals. You never want to be in Vegas longer than 5 meals. That gives you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch. Or it gives you dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, and then get out. But you never want to be there longer than 5 meals, because longer than 5 meals means you have drifted deep into a third day. And if you're in Vegas for more than 3 days, that's officially too much. Especially if you're like me and you find that probably priced a little bit more than you'd like to spend blackjack table, and you just stay there for way too long. I make bad decisions. La Profesora. The Jeter note makes me feel old, but not as old as one of my students this semester telling me that they were interested in the history of the game, but didn't know who Tony Gwynn was. Look, I'm not saying that kid is being abused, but I know who's got a lousy father. I mean, come on. You got to know who Tony Gwynn is. One of my favorite rabbit holes to go down. The Tony Gwynn stats rabbit hole. The man was just spectacular. Good point here by the Skills. Yeah, this is bad because, Tony Gwynn played 22 years ago, not 120. So here's the thing. If you're under 10 years old and you don't know who Tony Gwynn is, that's fine, unless you're from San Diego, in which case you're given a Tony Gwynn jersey on the day of your birth, I believe, as is tradition. But man, rockin' new era. Take care of your chicken. It's always good advice. Always good advice. Otis Bird, Jimmy G just can't stay healthy, man. It is who he is, who he is, who he is, who he is. And look, trying to make the game of football safer is fool's gold. There is no safety in football. If you're out there, you're going to get hurt. Shame on you, Ray Lord 84. Go Purdue quarterback? Shame on you. No. Again, how old was the kid who didn't know who Tony Gwynn was? But it does take an awful lot of effort to follow baseball and not know who Tony Gwynn was. It does. You have to be courting ignorance if you are older. You got to be courting ignorance to not know who Tony Gwynn is. Ike, he's on to the Tom Brady owner-player idea. And, yeah, I wonder if Devontae Adams wants out and the Raiders get Hopkins. Why would any wide receiver want in at this point? Unless you're just at the I want to live in Vegas and go to strip clubs and just party portion of your career, which, if you are, Vegas is maybe the place for you. The blackened sign, by the way, starts heating up the neck right about this point. Right about now is when it gets a little too warm. So, look, we're going to be right back here tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to getting back here tomorrow. Otis Bird, thank you. Looking forward to Damon's football coverage. I'm looking forward to it as well, man. We are going to be blowing up. I promise you that. Wait till you see the marketing and advertising that we're starting to cook up and things to do in that regard. It's going to get legit, I promise you. Kathy, I'm here for the plus. Thank you so much. That means an awful lot. JJ says, Damon, you should get yourself an old-timey sports journalist hat. Yeah, with like a little press pass sticking out of it. And it's not a real credential. It just says press. Like that used to be a press pass. Just says press. I was talking with a media sales expert last night, and we're talking about how to grow this and continue to monetize this. And he says it's real simple. Ask your most loyal listeners and followers and viewers to not just tweet about the show, and I do appreciate it when you tweet about it and you pass it along, but talk to people about what's going on over here. Because there are very few things that are undefeated in the world. Father Time is undefeated, and word-of-mouth advertising is undefeated. Nothing is more, and word-of-mouth advertising isn't necessarily just your own social media account, but hey, tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell your pals that there is something going on over here that is officially different from the sports that you would get anywhere else, and if they might be interested in that, check it out. Check it out. Live Damon is always the best, Damon. Thank you very much. Rockin' New Era. Appreciate that. It's good to be with you live today. Oh, look at this. Stacy did report for duty after all. Stacy, thank you very much. He did say his kids are not serious people. You're right about that. Again, no spoiler there, but he did say that. Let's go. Let's go. We got ourselves a Game 7 tonight. Now we're getting into people wanting to talk Succession, and I don't want any spoilers up there. Question, Damon, do you watch Yellowstone? I have not, and I've heard it's really good. That is on the list of things that I do need to check out. Yellowstone is up there. There are a couple of people tell me that the show Yellow Jackets is really good. But yeah, we're going to see what is HBO going to crank out as their next Sunday night headline show now that Succession is over. I do like just a Sunday night something to watch. Sports, Damon. Thank you, Stevie P. This is why we don't call it Damon Bruce Sports, though. It's why it's called Damon Bruce Plus. So now when I talk about more than just that, more than just sports, you can't get mad. It's the plus. Otis again. I miss office parties. I miss a free lunch on the boss. I think we all know that. Speaking of free lunch, though, it's usually this guy who's hooking it up. And Ike is right. Fans in Oakland have put up with so much, trading Canseco, Big Mac, not re-signing Stu, Ricky, Giambi, so on, with a huge backlash. This is all that is left for Jeff Fisher to dismantle. And he's doing it. And you are repping. Thank you, Michelle. And Stacy is repping. And Kathy is repping. The ladies of the Plus. And La Profesora is repping. Love it. I love it. You guys are seriously the best. The Plus Network on YouTube. Otis Bird. It's not a bad idea. Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, I would agree with this. ESPN Radio fell off when Cowherd left, plus Mike and Mike split up. Niner Empire 101. Cowherd leaving was bad for them. Mike and Mike was an institution. But man, dude, things aren't quite what they used to be. Danny G, you going to be on AMP tonight? I think I might. If I can get a little time away and arrange it with Jillian that I don't need to be all hands on deck for the kids tonight, yeah. After this Game 7 goes final, it does feel like we need to play some victory music for a victorious team, some preview music for the NBA Finals. I'm basically on AMP just being a DJ at this point. Honey, you want to come on in? Oh, there's 2 kids in the car. Jillian is back from the beach, which means I should probably go and help the kids out of the car. Skill saying, Damon, you could do it. You could start your own sports network. I know. I can't wait to see what this is a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. What's this going to be a decade from now? Because no matter what I do, no matter what I end up doing in sports media, whether it be with another company, another, digital distributor at some point in time, a radio station, no matter what happens, here is the one thing we'll never do, and that's give this up. The Plus is now living. It is living, and it's not going to die. It's only going to grow. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I want you to have a great end of your Memorial Day. Again, you know, it always feels odd to say something for attention on social media, but to those who have sacrificed, to those of you who are related to someone who has given the ultimate sacrifice serving their country, you're better men and women than I could ever be. God bless you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it for you being here today. It means an awful lot. We're going to have more for you live at 11 tomorrow. And, yeah, I do think I'm going to go live on AMP tonight. And we're going to play some cool tunes, man. What is it? One last one here from JJ. JJ, Damon, since you have experience as a DJ now, you should try to interview for Grand Theft Auto 6 to be a sports DJ on the radio. Hey, I know people in the video game industry. Maybe that could happen. I'd love that. But again, I want to talk less, play more music. That's all the talking we have for today in Club Plus. Thank you for being here. Have yourself a great rest of your weekend. And you know what's nice about a 3-day weekend is you get Monday off, and then the rest of the week goes by even faster. So we'll see you tomorrow here at 11 once again. And in the meantime, remember, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.